Okay, guys, so let's start this up right here, the review or the practice test. The first part is words in algebra. What does quotient mean? Divide, right? So what are we dividing? We're dividing 13 and y. So you could write it as 13 divided by y, or you could even write it as 13 over y. Why would I put 4? That's weird. I meant to put y, sorry. So either one of those is acceptable, that or that, okay? Now, number 2, it says 3/7 the square of b. 3/7 the square of b. So it's kind of like if I said, what's 1/2? What's 1/2 of 10? Well, 1/2 of 10 is really 5. So when you have a fraction, that's like saying the fraction times whatever else you have. So right here we have 3/7. So let me actually write that down. 3 over 7. Now 3/7 of what? 3/7 of the square of b. So I need to put a b and also square the b. So that's my answer for number 2. 3/7 b squared, or 3/7 the square of b. Make sense? Okay, let's move on to number 3. The sum of 19 and twice a number. Okay, well, first of all, what does sum mean? Addition, so I put a plus sign. Now, remember, the only time you switch the order is if you have the word from or you have the word than. Okay, like subtracted from or less than or greater than. The words than or from imply a switch. Right here, there is no than or from. It's just the word sum, which means to add. Now, what are we adding? We're not switching anything. We're adding 19 and we're adding twice a number. So I'm adding 19 and I'm adding twice a number. If you think about what twice a number is, if I say what's twice your age, I'm going to say 2 times your age. So twice a number is really 2 times x. And you don't even need the multiplication sign. So that's the correct answer for number 3. I hope everybody's with me. Number 4, we have 17 times a number plus 1. That one's straight up. 17, there's 17 times a number, put times x, or times n, or whatever variable you want to use, and then plus 1. So there's the answer, 17x plus 1 for number 4. Okay, let's look at number 5, and let's write over here on the answer spot. Number 5, 130 decreased by a number. Well, there is no word that's from or than, so it's not like subtracted from, it's not like 130 less than, so there is no order switch. It's just decreased by, and we all know that decreased by means to subtract. So I'm subtracting, and 130 comes first, and decreased by what? By twice a number. What's twice a number? 2x. So 130 take away 2x is the correct answer for number 5. Let's look at number 6. 1 subtracted from. So there's the key word, from. That implies that there's a switch. Actually, the key word subtracted. We know we're going to subtract. So I'm going to subtract on number 6, but the word from is telling me that I need to switch this first term with that second term. I need to switch them. So instead of 1 being in the front, 1's going to be at the end. And a number being at the end is now going to be in the front. So number 6 is really x take away 1, the final answer there, or the final algebraic expression for that phrase, 1 subtracted from a number. Okay? And if you're confused, think about this. 1 subtracted from your age. Put your age right here. You're not going to say 1 take away your age. You're going to say your age take away 1. Again, the word from implies a switch. Whenever you see the word from, you're going to do an order switch. Now, whenever you see the word than, you're also going to do an order switch. So, number 7, there's a word than right there. You're going to do an order switch. So, of course, less than, that means you're going to subtract. So, on number 7, let's put a subtraction sign. Now, this 89 was at the beginning, but we're going to write it at the end. And over here, what do we have? We have square of a number. That was at the end. Now we're going to write it in the beginning. So, what's the square of a number? That's x squared, and we write that at the beginning. And the 89 goes at the end. Why did we switch the order? Because of the word than. So we switched it. You guys got it? And that is the first section of the test Friday. which is words in algebra. So jumping to the next part of the test Friday, we're going to have PEMDAS. We're going to be simplifying with the correct order of operations. So we're going to be using what we have at the front left corner of the room, PEMDAS. That'll help you out with the order of operations. So you always start with parentheses first, and you do whatever's inside those parentheses, and then you go to E exponents, and then you go to multiplication or division. Doesn't matter which one comes first. Actually, it does matter what comes first from left to right on multiplication or division. So sometimes multiplication will come before division, sometimes division before multiplication. And at the very end, it's addition and subtraction. And likewise, when you're faced with addition or subtraction, go from left to right. So sometimes you'll be subtracting before adding, sometimes you'll be adding before subtracting. So let's jump to number 8 right here. We have two operations here. We have addition and we have division. So what do we do first? Do we add or do we divide? We divide first, that's right. And I like to box in what I'm going to do. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. I'm going to bring down the rest, bring down the plus, bring down the 6. And we really have 6 plus 5, which is 11. And that's your final answer for number 8. Let's move on to number 9. Number 9, we have, again, division and multiplication. So there is no parentheses, there are no exponents. But we do have multiplication and division. As a matter of fact, that's the only thing we have because we don't have addition or subtraction. So you have multiplication and division. And when you are only faced with M and D, you go from left to right. So from left to right, you have 60 divided by 10. 60 divided by 10 is 6. And of course, I'm going to bring down the multiplication of 3. So my final answer is 18. So let me jump to number 10. And let's do PEMDAS on number 10. So, question is, are there any parentheses? Yeah, it's right there, 9 take away 7. So remember, parentheses is simply zooming in and doing the inside of the parentheses and ignoring everything else. What is 9 take away 7?
2.
2, that's right. So let's replace the 9 take away 7 inside the parentheses with a 2. So I'm going to write down a 2 right there, and I'm going to rewrite everything else. So there's everything rewritten except the 9 minus 7. I changed it to a 2. So I've already done parentheses. We move on to E exponents. Are there any exponents? Yes, there is. There's 2 squared right there. What is 2 squared? 4. So again, I'm going to write down the 4 for the 2 squared, and I'm going to rewrite everything. So I just brought everything down. The 2, the plus, the 4 that's in the front. I kept in parentheses the minus 23. Everything brought down. Now, what's next? We have addition, multiplication, subtraction. Yeah, you guys said multiplication. That's what's next. So let's do 4 times 4 and get 16. And again, I'm going to rewrite everything else. So from here, it's just addition and subtraction. So we go left to right. Simply go left to right. So what is 2 plus 16? 18. And 18 minus 23, negative 5, is our final answer for this problem. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know some of us could do most of this work in our heads, but if you want credit on Friday's test, I need to see this work, where you do a step and you rewrite everything, okay? Maybe if you skip 1 step or 2, okay, no big deal, but I need to see some work here, right? Try to show all of your work. Don't skip any steps. Number 11. How many operations do we have on 11? Only 2? We have 3. We have multiplication, subtraction, and division. So what do we do first? Multiply, subtract, or divide? Multiply. Okay, so let's do 8 times 6. And I'm going to rewrite everything. And then, next, do I subtract or do I divide? Divide. So let me I want to divide 12 divided by 3. What's 12 divided by 3? That's 4. And let me bring down the rest. And my final step is simply to do 48, take away 4, which should be 44. And that's my answer. That's showing all my work. I will get full credit on this question on Friday's test. Well, I mean, I'm not really taking it. You're taking it, right? I'll give you full credit. Let's move on. Oh yeah, number 12. Do we have parentheses? Yes, we do. Let's zoom in to the inside of those parentheses. And inside the parentheses, I have addition, multiplication, and subtraction. multiplication first. So let me just underline the 4 times 6. What does that give me? 24. And let me rewrite the rest. Let me bring down the plus, let me bring down the 8, let me bring down the minus, and then the 2. Now I am still inside parentheses, and inside those parentheses I have addition and subtraction. So let me just go from left to right. 8 plus 24 is 32, and then 32 minus 2, 30. Okay, let me show my work here. 32 minus 2 inside the parentheses, that is now 30. So let me write it. 30. And that's what's left over on the inside of the parentheses, but I still have more math going on the outside of the parentheses. So let me bring down the plus, let me bring down the 6, let me bring down the divided by 2. So now, instead of this junk right here in the parentheses, I have the nice beautiful 30. So what do I do next? Do I add or do I divide? Divide. So when I divide, what is 30 divided by 2? That's 15. Let me zoom in a bit. So I'm really going to have 6 plus 15. Final answer, 21. Now this next part at the bottom half of the front side of the test, that's where we evaluate. What does evaluate mean? Plug it in, right? So what are we going to be plugging in? We're going to be plugging in the A value of 6. We're going to be plugging in the B value of 2. And we're going to be plugging in the C value of 4. Okay? So the key to do this is to look at your algebraic expression and rewrite it, but with parentheses instead of the letters. All right? So let's rewrite it with parentheses instead of letters. Let me zoom in a bit. So instead of 2c squared, I'm going to write down 2 parentheses squared. Instead of minus AB, I'm going to put minus parentheses. And it is all divided by 2, so I'm going to put it all divided by 2. So that's how to start this problem. You put parentheses so you could actually plug in the values that they give you. So we're plugging in, okay, I'm not going to be able to fit this all on the screen, so please let me know. A is 6, B is 2, C is 4. So what is C? 4. So I'll put a 4 right there. Well, that's an ugly 4, sorry. What is A? 6. And what is B? 2. So there's my work with the numbers plugged in. Now let me actually do the math. Now remember, when you have a division bar, do the top, get an answer, do the bottom, get an answer. There's nothing to do on the bottom. And then at the very end, worry about dividing. So on the top, we have multiplication, we have exponents, and we have multiplication, and we have subtraction. So the first thing to do is there are no parentheses. I mean, well, there are, but there's nothing to do inside the parentheses. So you move on to E exponents, and you have 4 squared. So 4 squared is 16. So what we're going to do is rewrite 4 squared as 16. So let me actually start by putting a 16 right here and rewriting everything else on the numerator. So there's 2 times 16 minus 6 times 2 over 2. Okay, so we've done exponents. After that, up on top, we have multiplication, and we also have subtraction. So we're going to multiply. So I'm going to do this multiplication, and then after that, I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to rewrite it up here on the numerator. So 2 times 16 is 32. Now, notice this minus sign. I'm just going to rewrite it over here, 32 takeaway, and I'm also going to do the next multiplication over here, 6 times 2, and I'm going to get 12. So it's really 32 take away 12, and it's still over 2. So as you can see, we're simplifying it step by step, and 32 take away 12, that does become 20, and it's still over 2, which at the very end, 20 divided by 2 is 10. So that's the answer to that problem number 13 on the practice test. Again, we simplified the top, and there was nothing to simplify on the bottom, but at the very end, we worried about dividing the top with the bottom. Looks like we're going to pick up number 14 on the next video explaining this practice test.